Picking and choosing your battles gives you back power. Not only does it saves your energy and time invested into things that you know are going to lead to arguments, or you know are going to lead to differentiating opinions, or allow one of you to submit to the other just because you want to get over the topic. It allows you to understand that not everything requires a response. Not everything requires to be explained. Not everything needs to be your reasoning. There's a reason why we are different. It's because we all have different opinions and all have different thought processes and the way that we see life. And it's not really up to you, it's not really up to me to challenge those beliefs of someone else, to tell them, hey, you're wrong, or to say, hey, this is what I believe and I'm right. If you take a step back, or even in the moment, if you just think about the possibility of what would my words or actions lead to, as in, if you're in a conversation and someone says, I love cars, well, let's say this person is very passionate about cars, and unfortunately they won't take a different opinion, or they don't want to talk about something else that would challenge their mindset about cars. So what would you do? Would you say your opinion about cars, or would you not talk about it? Because the best decision that you can make in that moment would be to keep your mouth, to keep your opinion to yourself about it. Because you know at the end of the day that it would start an argument, or that it would cause a riffle in the friendship, or however, like with politics, right? A lot of people don't like to talk about politics, with good measure. I'm not going to talk about it either. But it's a great example for this scenario. One day, you and a friend decide to start talking about politics, and then all of a sudden, they're not your friend anymore. And you could have avoided that whole interaction, that whole argument, the energy invested, the time and the effort, and the emotion, by just not giving your opinion, but just seeing the foresight, or having the foresight of, where will this lead me? What will my words affect in this person? What will they bring out? What will they challenge? What will they allow? When you decide to start taking the steps necessary to pick and choose your battles, on which ideas that you want to challenge, on which topics you want to debate or argue about, you free your mind, you free yourself from the time that it would invest in those types of things. Because let's say you talk about something, then you get in an argument, and then the argument lasts for a couple hours. Now, what could you have been doing for those couple of hours, or for the time that you invested? What else could you have invested in other than the argument, other than the debate, other than the emotions flying, other than conflicting ideas? Not everyone deserves your explanation. Not everyone deserves an answer or reasoning for the things that you do, for the things that they do. If someone's not ready to hear it, then they're not going to ask for your help, or they're not going to ask for your opinion. They're not going to ask for a different mindset about something that they're talking about, or that you're talking about. And when you adjust your mind, you adjust your speech, you adjust your conversation habits to reflect that, not only does it not create arguments, but it also allows you to let go in the moment. It gives you more freedom of choice. When I was in Universal Studios, that gives me away a little bit, but I was in Universal Studios with a friend, and they challenged me, but I didn't accept it. And I'll go into it. We were going to go on a ride, and unfortunately, they didn't allow you to have bags on the ride. And I'm completely understanding. And it's not really a big deal to me at all if we don't go on all the rides, or on this specific ride that required specific rules. It just wasn't enough. In my mind, it wasn't worthy enough for me to challenge or debate or get into. There's more rides at the park. I could just go on a different ride, and it doesn't really matter to me. But my friend, however, had a different approach to it. She got emotional. She got confrontational. And she's like, no, because we're going to go on this ride. And no one's going to tell us otherwise. I don't care what they say. We're going to get to the top of the ride and we're going to come in with the bag. And then she made a remark, which could have affected me or could have not affected me, depending on how I wanted to take it. She said to me, because you won't ever stand up for yourself. You just let them walk all over you. Now that in itself, even though it comes from a place of love and comes from a place of previous habits and behaviors with me being with this person, that could have been taken wrong, right? That could have ruined the whole day or ruined the whole hour or the moment, and just be like, wait a minute, that hurts, or that feels like an attack, or that feels kind of degrading. So I could have chosen two paths, which was to get emotional or to confront her about it, or to start an argument about something that doesn't really matter when we're having fun at a park, you know? Why would I ruin the moment just because my ego felt some type of way, or I didn't think that her opinion was true? If that was the case, that I didn't think that her opinion was true, then why challenge it? So I took the other route, which was letting it go, laughing it off. And that could be seen as a couple ways. It could be seen as me being walked over, or that she's walking over me. But the way I see it is I'm choosing and picking my battles to fight, because that doesn't require my energy. And whether she decides to see how I approach arguments and conflict in general is up to me. Because when I'm in conflict, it's me that's in conflict, not her. If she's in conflict, then she's in conflict. And that's how we differentiate it. So I took it as she's trying to protect me, or she's trying to speak up for me. And then I realized that she doesn't understand how I choose and pick my battles. Because not everything is worth fighting over. Not everything is worth being a stone wall to. It's important to have flexibility in your conversation, to have flexibility in your opinions and ideas, and not to let emotions control the narrative. It's important to not let yourself succumb to the things that are brought out. Because technically, if you think about it, even though she wasn't trying to, she was pulling me. She was trying to pull out an emotion, trying to pull out a thought or process. But if you don't let that happen, that changes the scenario. And the scenario was arguments, hardship, and maybe even separating because we wouldn't see eye to eye. Or the other one, which is just continuing the happy and jolly conversation, not letting anything arise and just letting it land. Okay, that's how you see me. That's okay. I don't need to validate you to validate myself. My opinions, my decision-making, my behaviors are my reasonings. And they'll never be yours. They'll never be yours. They'll never be hers. And that comes with quiet confidence. That comes with having the ability to not let things slide, but to let things settle as they do. To be comfortable with different opinions of how people see you, of how things are. Different mindsets. Her mindset is she needs to fight for everything because life is hard. My mindset is you don't need to fight for everything because not everything is worth fighting for. Especially if it's something tedious as going on a ride. Because we're at a theme park. And when we got to the top of the ride, they confronted us, of course. They said, hey, you can't have bags on the ride. And of course, because of differentiating mindsets about it, she chose to combat that. She chose to fight for it. Which was, well, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. It's not fair that this and that. And we should be able to use a bag. We can hold on to it. We can do this and we can do that. Now, unfortunately, she strong-handed her opinion or her reasoning. And we were able to get on the ride with the bag. But there's reasons for the rules. There's reasons why we can't bring bags separate from any other ride. And she was being, at the moment, biased. Not biased, but she wasn't allowing herself to overlook her own emotions and her own thoughts about it, to actually hear the staff out, to understand their perspective, just as they were trying to understand and hear ours. But because of her irrationality, they submitted. They let go. They're like, okay, well, you can do this, but it's like, you can put it in your pockets, you can put it away, but you can't hold on to it. So we finally did that. And me, trying to reason with the staff and trying to understand their perspective, I was trying to calm down the situation scenario, because she was becoming emotional, and I'm like, okay, well, what are ways that we can find a solution to this, instead of just arguing about the fact that we can't go on the ride because we have bags. And that moment, I realized that not everyone knows how to articulate themselves or to compose themselves before acting upon a decision and choosing which fights they want to choose to battle. I hope that this brought you some sort of clarity, that you're able to understand where I'm coming from. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more of my content and my face and the types of things I talk about. And I'll see you down in the comments below. My name is Augustin, and this is Just for Clarity. Thank you so much for being here.